Hello, I'm Toycat and welcome back to the second channel geography videos. Today I wanted to talk about the United States of America, a country which is often abbreviated down to just America because despite that name, America is not actually fully American. That's right, I'm not trying to make some political statement either of like, what does it really mean to be American, man? I mean literally on a geographical sense, the United States of America is not fully contained in America, even if you use the more liberal definition of what America is, because I believe in the 7-continent model. Most people are taught this, where North America and South America are separate, but a lot of South Americans are taught that America is just one big continent. That's why they get annoyed by the US of A being called America, because to them that's their entire continent. But even if you use this definition of the continents, where America is this huge thing, even in that case, America is not fully inside the continent of America. And obviously we'll just discount the military bases, which are all over the world and are kind of like parts of America. We'll just say they don't count and like, okay, ignoring all of that, America is still not contained entirely in the United States, entirely in the continent of America, partly because they drew the the boundaries of continents are drawn around the political side of things. So if you look at Alaska right here, you can see how Alaska goes as far west as Attu Station right here, which is to the west of a lot of Russia. They literally draw the international date line around it, which, you know, kind of goes to show that like we kind of make the reality what we want from it based on the territories. But also you can see how like there are literally two islands next to each other. This one is counted as Europe, this one is North America. So America kind of stretches the definition of what America is to fully fit within it. But even if we ignore that, by the way, there's a place called Wales right there, but even if we ignore that entirely, if we look at the 50th state, because Alaska's the 49th, Hawaii is the 50th state in the Union, and fun fact, Hawaii is actually a sub-region of Oceania, which is the 6th continent, or the 7th continent, depending on your model. A lot of Americans, I believe, are taught in school that, like, this continent is Australia. That's why you find so many maps. But this continent is actually Oceania. I mean, Australia is a convenient thing to call it, so you don't have to admit that part of your country is there. But the 50th state of America, the Hawaiian Islands, are located in the North Pacific as part of Polynesia, as part of Oceania. So fun fact, there you go. Did you know that one of the 50 states, that make up the United States of America is not inside of America? And that is a really interesting thing, because it means that, like, well, they've got a 98% accuracy with the United States being inside of America. So United States of America asterisk and Australia/Oceania. That's pretty good, right? But my point in this video is just to say that country names are misleading. Country names are a thing that are made as a figurehead and stick for a very long time, long after they remain relevant, because if we look at the other two words in the United States of America, you can see how they're both kind of misleading too. I mean, United States of America, it's 50 states, right? So everyone knows that. But what you might not know if you're from outside the US is that actually there's a lot of territories that don't quite belong to any state directly either. I mean, Washington, D.C. is famously the capital district. It belongs to all the other 50 states, so they have a place to do government together. But also there's a bunch of territories, such as Puerto Rico, which, by the way, has a higher population than several of the actual states. So there is a Spanish-speaking territory as part of the United States of America, but at least that one's in the Caribbean. If we look over at the Pacific, closer to Japan, you can see how, like, oh yeah, Guam, everyone knows Guam, right? Part of America. They are American citizens that live there. It is a official part, but they've got passports, the same border control, etc., etc. Same with the North Mariana Islands, same with Marshall Islands, same with a billion different places around here. They are part of America, but they are very distinctly not inside of America. In fact, just to give you a fun fact, even with Hawaii, the 50th state, you can be like, oh yeah, the distance between Hawaii and, say, Washington, D.C. is further than the distance between Washington, D.C. and London. By quite a significant amount, actually. Further than the distance between Washington, D.C. and Rome. Further than the distance, roughly, between, Washington, D.C. and literally Moscow, the capital of Russia. It's pretty much the same distance from there as it is to get from there to Honolulu. That is how far away these things actually are from each other. The United States is very far apart and is not fully in America, is my point, but it's also not just states. There's all those territories I mentioned. There's also the fact that within the United States of America, there's obviously Native American reserves, some of which are pretty big, by the way. In fact, if you look at the biggest one here, the one that points out to you on the map, you can see how the Navajo Nation is so big, bigger than a lot of states again, that it actually has reservations inside of it. There is the Hopi Reservation, which, as you can see, is inside of the Navajo Reservation. That is crazy. There are parts of America which don't belong to any of the states directly. I mean, they're administered to some extent by them, but instead are their own separate things that cross state boundaries. The Navajo Nation is in 3 separate states all at once right here. It seems Colorado is not having any of that. But you can see the point that, like, oh yeah, so Also, it goes randomly into New Mexico over here. How strange. But we should dive into that someday. But there are, obviously things which go across borders, and that's kind of not part of the states. So there's federal territory, which belongs to all 50 states. But then there's things that sort of belong to no states and all the states at the same time. But then also all of the states actually have a part of their land. Sometimes it's small, like in New York. Sometimes it's high, like in Oregon or Nevada, Nevada, I think some people get annoyed if I don't say the A really softly. But if you look at these states, it's like most of their land doesn't belong to the state. It belongs to all of the states together. So long story short, the United States of America, America's misleading. The states bit's misleading. And, just for fun here, they're not really united, right? I mean, they're united in the sense that politically they're part of the same union, although, there's always divisions, and those divisions run really deep. I mean, can the Americans even decide what to call, soft drinks? Is it soda, is it pop, or is it Coke? I don't know why both the coasts seem to say soda, and then there's this weird, gap in the middle where it's actually, back to soda. They call it pop up there. Soda I don't really get too much. Pop I get even less. And Coke, literally, in the South, just any soft drink, here's a Sprite. No, that's a Coke, friend. I don't understand how Coke did such good marketing, but somehow they did, right? And this is a thing that proves that America is divided, and therefore, United States of America, not a fully accurate name, right? I mean, all three parts of it are slightly misleading, and I'm not trying to pick on the US here, although, just for fun, why not? I'm trying to say that country names aren't accurate because they're decided a long time ago, and because they're meant to have meaning beyond what they are. They can never be fully accurate. And obviously a classic example of this one, fun fact, Greenland and Iceland, did you know how they kind of have the wrong names? Iceland is this green, lovely place in the summer, and Greenland is this desolate, icy wasteland. If we go to a random, street view just to prove this one, always have to do it because I love Iceland. Oh, what's that? Is Iceland icy? It's actually not. Well, there goes my theory. As you can see, Greenland is sometimes green, and Iceland is sometimes icy. It's just more often that Greenland is icy, and Iceland has a decent enough summer where it is green and beautiful. In fact, let's prove that right now, Iceland is green and beautiful. Couldn't make it up, right? Our first one of Iceland is icy, and our first one of Greenland is green, because they actually are kind of accurate. The meme is fun because most people haven't gone to those two places, but it's not fully right. But I mean, Greenland and Iceland, wrong names, right? And obviously we could look at other joke names and be it's funny because these islands claim to be virgin and this country claims to be Chad, but I think that sure is misleading. But no, I literally mean that country names all over the world are misleading, partly because they're confusing. So here's Georgia the country, here is Georgia the state, which has more people, and here is Georgia the South Georgia and South Sandwich Islands, which, by the way, South is used twice, which is redundant. The South Sandwich Islands do not contain any sandwiches. I think they're named after the Isle of Sandwich or something. But also, they're all named the same thing. It's a bad naming system. But let's just look at, let's stay focused. Let's bring it back. Let's say, okay, those are all silly countries, Toy Cat. What do you mean names are misleading? I mean, names are decided a long time ago, and they can never be fully accurate because the name is trying to bring a lot of people under one banner. So take the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I am from there, fun fact. It's a nice place. You should visit sometime. Not right now. Visit sometime soon. Or visit right now. Have some fun with it. But basically, we have our borders open, unlike most countries, which shut them immediately because apparently foreigners are more likely to have an issue than different subject, different video. So the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is the United Kingdom, which, by the way, not ruled by a king right now, but it is the United Kingdom. Sure, we'll just take that. How united is it? You could make that debate too. Of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Sure, Northern Ireland's there. Sure, Great Britain's there. Most people stopped there. The South Sandwich and Georgia Islands are a part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. This is neither Great Britain nor Northern Ireland. I mean, I'm no geographist, although I make geography videos. I'm actually pretty sure this is not Great Britain. In fact, it's 12,000 kilometers away, so I think it's a bit of a stretch to call it part of the same thing. But even parts of England, Scotland, and Wales, the core countries of the United Kingdom, even they all have islands which are not part of Great Britain. Great Britain is the largest of the isles in the British Isles, this area right here. So oh yeah, what's this? The Isle of Anglesey, not a part of Great Britain, but very much inside the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The Isle of Wight, very much a part of it. The Scottish Isles of Orkney, Shetland, and all of their, you know, like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. The Skye is another big one. Lots of big islands are not a part of the, or are part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, despite the fact that their names would imply they are not, right? Huh, how strange, right? But if you take the most simple names out there, take Germany. They are called Deutschland in their native German language, which just means lands of the Germans. Or the lands of the Deutsch, the German-speaking people. And Germanic, by the way, is a huge grouping thrown together. And it's like, well, Deutschland's going to be kind of accurate. It is a country of German-speaking people, right? And ignoring, like, immigration or whatever, trying to make a political thing from that. You know, they are... you know, they were made up of German-speaking people at the time, right? Well, not entirely, because again, with everything, there's always some exceptions. Here are the Sorbs. This is an ethnic group that is mostly inside of Germany. It used to be fully inside of Germany at some point, but German borders moved in the last half of the 20th century. There's a lot of fun reasons why. You should read into it, but you guys heard of World War II and the aftermath? But, so yeah, basically, as a part of that, the Sorbs, the Sorbians, they actually have this little region inside of Germany, and they are fully not German-speaking. They were considered German by the, you know, the people at the time, the World War II and prior to World War II people, you know, that did some funny hand salutes and had mustaches. They were considered Germans, Sorbian-speaking Germans or whatever. Like, the, you know, the truth is, you know, like they kind of got away with being kind of German, but they're not German in the slightest. They speak a Slavic language, Slavic. They've got a Sorbian flag which uses the pan-Slavic colors. They are a Slav group which just exists entirely inside of Germany. It's a whole weird thing, honestly. You can dive into if you really want to. It exists even now. There's only a few speakers, but there is a place called, you know, like, look at this. There is a Sorb-inherited part of Germany. Even, like, at its foundation, Germany was never filled with just German-speaking people, and there's bigger examples and smaller examples, but this is one that a lot of people don't know about because you don't think about it. Because when you hear Germany is the land, you know, Deutschland is the land of the Deutsch, right? Like, wait, let's go to Germany. Deutschland is the, you know, Deutschland, which is, you know, like, let's play it for you, by the way.
Bundesrepublik Deutschland.
There you go. Bundesrepublik Deutschland is the Federal Republic of Germany. And again, ignoring the federal bit, but it's the Republic of the German-speaking things. You think of a country of German-speaking people, that's the goal. The goal is to unite all those people under one banner. The United States of America, you know, again, they were 13 states that united and that were all in the continent of North America at the time. The United Kingdom, you know, I think it's just a cool name, honestly. I could dive into the origins of it sometime. Would be kind of fun. But like every country uses its name as a tool to do some things. That's why North Korea is called the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. It's not true in the slightest, right? We even made a whole video just to prove that fact. But these countries call themselves something as a way to unite. Like the China being called China, despite the huge disparate groups that, you know, they call Chinese, that they try to bring together. A country is just as much about bringing people together as it is about fighting off the outside world. By fighting off the outside world under one banner, you bring people into the same threshold, and that's how many modern countries have formed, or did form. Nowadays, things are a bit different. I mean, the people of Timor-Leste, the newest country in the 21st century, or the first country to join the 21st century, like, you know, they have a lot of violence on the inside. Would be nice if they could just fight Indonesia instead, right? The people of South Sudan, I mean, their identity is literally like Sudan, but like better. But anyway, yeah, what I'm just trying to say is that places define themselves and they use names to do so. And those names are always like kind of accurate because you can't just make one up unless you're a man who likes making things up. But you can't just make up your name entirely, but there's always going to be a little bit of like asterisks on it. And even the most simple names you can pick, there's no way you can be entirely accurate with all of them. So thank you for watching this little second channel thing. I hope that you did enjoy it, and I will see you in another one, because I've got to go right now to sleep. It's quite late. It's like 1:30. I can't be making country puns anymore because I'm gonna run out of them. Second channel. Goodbye.